Good evening and welcome to the Town of Douglas Planning Board meeting for Thursday, February 23rd. Time is 7:02 PM. First item is Citizens Forum, call for public comment. I am seeing no one from the public. A&Rs, none. Public hearings, none. Additional business, town meeting warrant articles due March 2nd. Possible votes. Okay, we have the floodplain district proposed warrant article. Mr. Benoit, is that the only article that we're proposing at spring meeting?
For zoning bylaw amendments, yes, it is. There are two additions in your packet. There is one that shows all the track changes, and there is also a clean version.
Okay,
We did receive feedback from both town council and DCR.
okay, perfect.
This has to be passed through the chair by 2/3 vote at town meeting?
Yes.
And if it doesn't?
If it doesn't, the town of Douglas would lose its flood insurance.
And is it typically in the
Town
zone?
council, upon reviewing this, made it clear that these are the kind of bylaws that don't require a lot of review on his part, because these are coming from the state and they are a state mandate. There are 13 other towns doing this similar process right now. And now that we have at least council and DCR's final review in hand, this bylaw should be mostly finished.
So the one that does not have the lines in it,
Correct.
the one being presented? The one on top?
Correct.
And what was the reasoning? So there's a lot of definitions that are removed
Yes.
regarding manufactured home parks.
Yes.
Why is that?
The last comment I got in from them was to delete the old definitions and only put in the definitions that they are required. I think they might have worked the language in the rest of the bylaw to not need some of those other definitions.
Okay, okay. And we have highest adjacent grade, so we were just discussing, so we're not going to town meeting for our definition of height?
Correct.
Okay. So as far as the highest adjacent grade, so now we have kind of a cornerstone to use as a definition with this new document, right? With the new.
Perhaps.
Okay. Well, it actually was already in there, so it doesn't. Okay, board, so you're looking for a motion to recommend the floodplain district zoning bylaw change to the Board of Selectmen
Second that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, for town
So
meeting
moved.
consideration.
for town meeting consideration, so moved.
I'll second that, yeah.
So moved by Mr. Zwicker, second by Mr. Schultzberg. Any discussion? No. Okay. A call vote, please?
Name or just
Yeah.
Meg Schlesman, aye.
Aaron Sokrat, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mike Zwicker, aye.
Am I voting this evening?
Yeah, you can vote.
Great, which Preston, aye. Jacob Schultz, cool.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Madam Chair, there are two potential other warrant articles that this board may want to be made aware of.
Okay.
As a letter that we received today, we were aware of this back in the fall. It's just the letter came in today. It is from Attorney Henry Lane with regards to the Stonegate subdivision.
Yes, see that.
These are two small cul-de-sacs that we've had reviewed by our engineer, and this was ready for fall town meeting consideration, but the general bylaws state that they only accept road acceptances at spring town meeting. So Mr. Lane is asking if the planning board would sponsor this article at a spring town meeting, and I don't have any issues with that because we've already had the layout, the as-built plans, and our engineer has already performed his review. So these roads have been ready for some time.
Okay, would you like a motion to accept the request that the planning board sponsors this article?
Yes, please.
Can I hear a motion to that effect?
Thank you.
I just have one question. Will we have to send the engineer out to confirm the road is still in good condition, especially after the winter, if there was any kind of plowing issues with curbing or anything like that?
Yes, through the chair, absolutely. There's still a few other things that need to happen here, including laying out utilities, road layout plan for acceptance, Mylars. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done legally too. And one of those things is to have our DPW and our engineer check that out one more time. The only things that came up previously were clearing of some vegetation in one of the detention areas. So if that growth is overgrown again, we may ask him to do that again. We're still holding a small bond just in case that needs to happen.
Okay. Yeah, and if the plans aren't ready for town meeting, then it gets passed over.
Correct.
Through the
Yeah.
chair, all the bounds, markers, everything, all done?
Monuments? Yes.
Yes.
100%?
Yes.
Perfect.
I'll move.
That was actually one of the things the engineer found, where there were some missing bounds, and they had to put those in.
Good.
Yay. Free bounds.
That's working.
Mr. Schultzberg?
I'll move to have this article presented to the Board of Selectmen favorable action.
Yep.
He's requesting the planning board to sponsor the article.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Schultzberg.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sokrat. All those in favor?
All right. And that would be as long as all
Unanimous.
proper documents are ready for.
Of course, yeah.
Do you want roll call?
Of course.
No, that's okay. It's all right. That's okay.
Madam Chair, the other article for consideration isn't necessarily sponsorship by the planning board. It is a movement by the finance director, conversation you were privy to previously, with regards to eliminating the need for the 53E.5 accounts that the town engineer used to establish. Curious if based on our conversation, if the board would be interested in producing a letter of support for that article to the finance director.
I'm in
I
favor
speak
of
for
that.
myself, yes. Yes.
I'm
So-
in favor of that happening. What kind of motion do you need on that, Matt?
Just for the members who aren't familiar with the 53.5, it was a fund used for a town engineer to pay for his services to review plans. And since we don't have a town engineer anymore, we don't need 53.5 accounts. And since we have so many sitting in limbo, we have to take this step in order to get rid of them. So, or to phase them into the general fund. So, yeah, the motion we'd be looking for is just send a letter of support to the finance director for the removal of the 53E.5 requirement.
Through the chair, will we need it in the future when we do have a town engineer?
You could reconstitute it, right?
Yes. Yes. We have it in our regulation also, our rules and
Yes.
regulations, so we may need to adjust that. But
Absolutely.
But it would be to divest that account.
yes, I think that it's not a very useful account. I think it's a little,
At this time.
I think it's a confusing account.
If you eliminate the account.
There would be no need to have it if we don't have a town engineer.
Does it go into the general fund?
Yes,
You wouldn't be able to reclaim that money.
right.
But can we, through the chair, can we reclaim it for planning board use, for markers
Nope.
and boundaries and things
Nope.
like that? See? I mean, what
Nope.
can we only,
You'd have to request the funds back, but no,
if we
generally
get,
not.
if we get a town engineer? But
I just think that it should be 53E.5, I mean, a 53G consultant, outside
Yes.
consulting, I
Yep.
think, for how we do things here. I
could it
don't-
be transferred into,
That's
goes
part of the
away.
problem. Yeah, that's,
Then they're done the,
yeah,
no,
that's,
it's cleaning house,
yeah.
housekeeping.
So if a motion is needed for the removal of the 53E
letter of support, sent,
at this time,
yeah,
and then we'll look at the amendments in any of our bylaws or books or whatever that need to be amended could be taken care of at another meeting, but for the time being, I think a letter of recommendation, I got no problem with it.
okay, I'll entertain a motion to send that letter of support to the finance
And
director.
also move that.
Okay. Motion made by Mr. Zwicker, second by Mr. Schultzberg. All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. Okay. Yeah, because we can amend our planning board rules and regs by
I didn't know
vote
if it's in
here.
anything else either, though.
Yes. There's a few things we need to discuss with regards to our fee schedule, and there are a lot of changes we need to go over. That does require a public hearing process, but it's something we can do as important.
Okay. And what about the height bylaw? Where does that stand?
Our building commissioner did not want to send it to Springtown meeting.
Okay. There's no definition needed?
Is that to be reviewed at a further time? Don't know.
I don't at this time, no. I think he might have gone back and just feels comfortable in enforcing height under the regular building code. But who knows?
I mean, if I may speak to this, Madam Chair. I think in a lot of towns that have higher density, smaller lots, I think it's pretty critical in the Newtons, the Needhams, the Natives, the Wellesleys, the things like that, where it is just on top of each other in a lot of places. I mean, here, if there's a sort of step in the assessment by the building inspector or otherwise, and someone ends up a foot and a half higher or 2 feet higher, I mean, I think the fact that the houses are so far apart that it's not detrimental to other people in general. So I'm not so concerned as I was before, thinking about it in the way our town is laid out. That's all.
From me to the chair, depends on where you live.
Right, but
You
most of
live
the
down by
town,
the lake or something like that, where the cottages are on top of each other, that could make a big difference.
but in general terms, I think
Well, my opinion is it should be crystal clear for
in
a
uniform.
person
Yeah.
that wants to build a house, what the definition is.
I agree. Should, I mean, we can define it. I think it should be defined as other towns are. I don't think what we have is a good one. So, and what was coming before us wasn't
Yeah.
a good one. So
Yeah.
there's a better way to do it. And, I mean, I know the way it should be, but, so,
Well, this
average
board,
grade is based on every 10 feet around the perimeter of the house, and that's how that is. It has to be within, 4 feet of the, you can't just build up a pile on the house, and, you can't, shouldn't be cheating. I mean, it should be uniform if we're going to do it, but I'm not freaking out about it, so. But I think if we're going to do it, we do it right, so,
okay, so we can do it for fall.
right.
It's too late now, right, Mr. Benoit?
The deadline for the warrant is March 2nd, so
Right.
this is our last meeting to make recommendations.
Yeah, I'll do a graphic. I mean, I'll do a graphic, and I'll bring it to the
Okay,
town meeting
Yeah.
and such like that, so.
yeah. All right, bylaws and regulations, or budget FY 2024?
Sure, I'll try to make this quick. But the segue into the fee schedule, one of the things that we're putting into our proposed budget for this year, and this isn't typically something we come to the planning board with, but since it does apply to you guys, I want to discuss it. Currently, when we take in an application, we take a $200 check from the applicant for advertising. And we hold on to that check until the Telegram and Gazette gets back to us with a specific number. Then we return that $200 check to the applicant and expect them to write us a revised check to cover the advertising. I've never seen it done this way. It leads to a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of variables there, including folks who never end up sending us a revised check. So, in meeting with the finance director and the town administrator, what we are doing is we are putting funds, or at least asking for funds for advertising into an account. For planning board, I asked for a $5,000 advertising account. And we don't know how many applications we're going to get, but we'd rather be over than under, because when you're under, you get problems. So a typical ad is somewhere around $200 per, but we don't know how many we're going to get. We could get multiple subdivisions. If it's a long article, it gets more expensive. So by putting funds into an account, our idea would be to take in our application fees and our advertising fee that all go into the same place. And then we would be responsible for paying for the ad out of our budget, but when everything shakes out, we are taking in more money than the ad is covered, and we're covering ourselves, so it's not a loss on our part. So this kind of segues into the fact that if this gets approved for the budget on Article 1 at town meeting, we will have to go into our fee schedule and put something in here about advertising fees and how that the applicants will be paying for those. So that's another amendment to our fee schedule in addition to the 53E&a-halves. I just wanted to make us aware of this because the way we're doing it is uncommon, and the way we're proposing is more in tune with a lot of other communities. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. We don't have to have much of a discussion about it. It's just something I wanted to bring up. The other thing that I'm asking in the budget was, I'm sure you know, I asked Capital to purchase GIS software for our department so we could have better map creation, map software. We asked for $57.70 because that was the price I was given by the software manufacturer back in April of last year. We got approved. We went to July 1st, and apparently some state contract expired, and our discount was no longer available. So the software price went up until the contract was renegotiated. So I sat on it all summer, all fall and winter, waiting for this contract to be revised, and here we are in February, and it hasn't been done. So the $57.70 I had allotted has been upgraded to $7,000 to pay for the full price of the software this summer. Unless they raise their prices, this is the most ridiculous, forgive me for my opinion on this, one of the weirdest runaround, chase-arounds I've ever had to deal with just to buy software from the state, or from Esri, given the state contract. So the things we're asking for is the software and the advertising. Those are the only increases to our budget at this time. I just wanted to keep you all informed of what we're trying to do. Happy to answer questions, but that's just how it is.
Thank you.
Through the chair, to Matt, you said it went from 57 to 7 grand?
Yeah, the base software
it?
was $7,000, but there were some incentive and discounts negotiated through the state contract. At the time, we didn't know it was a state contract. The Esri rep just said, here's some discounts here, we can knock you down to $57.70, and I was like, that sounds great. I never said anything about a state contract.
Well, I think
until
we're
it's
supposed to be
expired.
professionals here, and I think you need the software. I think you got to get the software. I mean, it's, you know,
We
we
need it
have
badly.
projects that are being built that are in the millions of square feet. I mean, you need it, you need it. It's what it is.
Through the chair to Mr. Sokrat, Aaron, I had to submit some imagery for an RFQ that just went out for the highway barn, and I had to use like screenshots and Microsoft Paint, and it was embarrassing to put those images in the RFQ. So the GIS software is highly desired on my end, and it's something this town really needs.
Question, Mr. Benoit, through the chair.
Sure.
You said with the fee schedule, the town wouldn't be losing money with the way they would be set up? Would the town
Because we'd
be,
be taking in an advertising fee that goes into the general fund that offsets the cost of the
would
forward.
the town be making money having that fee schedule like that?
It's possible that we make, it depends on every ad. Every ad's going to have a different price and number of words. So that's something we're going to have to discuss when we update our fee schedule. What is the price we want to put on this?
All right. My only concern is I just wouldn't want to see the town making profit off of
Telegram gives that
That's- yeah.
ads.
And through the chair, that's my big deal, especially if you get a one-time or a resident, something like that, having to come in front of this board. And now you're making them advertise, and the town's making money off that advertisement. I think is 100% wrong.
So one of the things I noticed when I was in the town of Auburn is the ads vary, right? So you could have a $150 ad, you could have a $250 ad, and one of them's going to lose money and one of them's going to make it, but eventually most of them offset. It's tough to put a perfect number on it, and I don't like the fact that you charge one more, you charge one less. I fully understand where you're coming from. So I think we're going to look at the history of some of the ads that we've produced over the last year, try to come up with a solid number that's closest so that that doesn't happen. And we'll do that collectively as a team.
Now, if I can, through the chair, I understand what you're saying, how sometimes you don't get a check back. But let's say somebody writes a check and the ad is less, why doesn't the town pay back the balance? What's the issues there? And/or if somebody, say it's more than the $200 check, the project doesn't move forward until that balance is paid up.
So what happens is the person writes a check, gives it to, say, Jen. Jen holds it until the exact amount, the invoice comes in for the ad. Then she calls the applicant and says, this is the exact price, and bring me a new check, I'll give you your old check. So my suggestion was come up with a flat fee. We're preparing the ad. We're coordinating with Telegram and Gazette. We're sending it in. It's not free for us to do the
Right.
work. So conservation, the applicant pays for and places the ad and prepares the ad. So sometimes the ad does not get placed in time. So that's what this eliminates that from happening. We take the responsibility and the burden
Right.
of preparation. So there is an associated cost to preparing the ad. So
Right.
my suggestion was, in our fee schedule, we have an advertising cost, say $200, and that's it for everybody. And there's an admin fee, there's prep, prep and processing fee. So there's a processing fee, and if it's $150 or $155 for each person, most of our ads in the paper are going to be the address and what the person's doing. They're not varying that much. It's not like a big, sometimes it is, but
But if I can, how do you make a flat rate fee when you have one project that's a $5,000 project, guy's trying to do on a scenic road, and another guy's building a million square foot warehouse?
Well, the other thing-
You're gonna have this guy here saying, I'm making out on this deal, and this poor guy over here saying, he's not paying nothing, and I'm paying all of it.
well, the other thing we could do is send the applicant the invoice to pay.
That's what I was gonna say.
And,
That's,
What, sorry.
and if they don't pay it, then it doesn't get placed, then they get bumped to the next meeting.
Which I have no problem seeing that done. But the idea is, do you see where I'm going with that?
Well, the work, we're still doing the work,
Right.
but it could be the admin
Right.
fee of the application.
Right.
Submittal could be included in that.
That's perfect.
Just trying to
Yeah.
find, I know this is just coming up on us now, but trying to look for that medium in between where, and like I said, it can happen. A poor guy on a scenic road is just trying to have a driveway opening, and you're gonna whack him this amount of money, the same as a guy building a 2 million square foot warehouse. Is that fair?
Yeah,
No,
and
it's
Telegram
not.
is really expensive too.
I know,
It's very
every-
expensive. I tried to get us into a different newspaper. The frequency of the publication was not good enough
Correct.
for the person preparing the ads, but I think, it has to be generally circulated.
I feel it needs to get changed.
Mm-hmm.
Going through the process previously and hearing what we actually make applicants do of writing a check
Right.
to write another check, it is silly.
Yes.
I agree.
And
So that should get changed, just come up with a way to make it work. Not to be frugal, but checks aren't cheap, so they're not.
Well, it's
they're not
the
expensive, but
process. It's the
I-
process. Come here, go there,
Correct.
send this
I have to
check.
pay for my checkbook,
It-
and I wasted a check.
But
Yeah.
through the chair, it could be that's on the paperwork, it says,
Yeah.
they sign, I understand that I agree
Am
to pay the
responsible.
fee and responsible, and will not have my hearing until I have paid that fee, for whatever the invoice is.
Yeah, if they weren't
Right.
here, they're gonna-
So they as long as they acknowledge it, then, right, would you say?
there's too many variables, and we have to get into it another time, and I'm not trying to move the conversation, but there's too many variables. If someone doesn't pay the fee and we hold their public hearing, they don't get their public hearing, the Telegram's going to shut off our account, and if we get another hearing, we won't be able to advertise until that's paid, and then we're waiting for someone else to handle it while our entire account is shut off.
No, but we.
This happened.
What, excuse
So,
me.
and again, there's a lot of variables, and we will work on them collectively together. It's just something needs to change, which is what we're doing now. It's not.
Right.
If I can, go ahead.
It just, what you just said, I agree that we should have the money in there. We should pay in advance, but they have acknowledged that they will reimburse us for the exact fee. So they're not over, and then we're not in trouble with the newspapers.
Yeah,
You know, we
no
take it right out of the
problem.
fee, we pay in advance. And we have the money in there. And they're just gonna pay us back, but they can't get a hearing until they do.
The thing is, this through the chair, if you don't mind. This isn't the first time we're at the 11th hour, we're getting things thrown at us that's gonna be decided at town meeting. And
Okay.
we could have had this discussion 2 months ago.
Well, at least he's bringing.
Why, well, no, it's already on the agenda. It's getting brought in. So why,
You know-
why
you know
not,
what?
why are we
You
doing
know
this
what?
now, not a month ago?
I gotta say, I don't appreciate you saying that, okay? This is not something I had to put on the agenda. This is not something that we had to discuss right now, okay? This is a budget request. It still needs to get reviewed by the budget committee. And I didn't have to bring this up, okay? And and I'm respectfully talking about this because it's going to involve us as we move forward. If you have opinions about it, that's fine. But we need to collectively go over our fee schedule at some point in the future. But right now, like all of these variables, we're not going to make a decision on it tonight. So this isn't one of those, that's not what this
It
is.
wasn't pressure. It's not
Yeah.
pressure.
I don't know.
It's okay.
I don't like it.
So what does the town of Sutton do for their advertising?
I am not familiar with Sutton.
Okay, because I'm looking at it right now.
It seems like it's pretty.
Because we don't want to have a budget if we don't need a budget, right? The line item.
Agreed. And it stays the same and we're playing check tag with our applicants.
Okay.
I just don't know why we're playing check tag. I mean, you got hearings, you got application, just pay the darn thing. I mean, it's, you know, if it's $113.50, come down and bring a check, you know, reimburse us.
Right?
It's as simple as
That would be
that. I mean,
So I think we place the ad
Right.
that we have a disclaimer, the applicant is to bring a check at whatever date.
once we know the amount.
Yeah, once the ad is prepared and they pay the exact payment. And the admin
With
services,
fees, yeah.
the admin fees are going to be in the application fee. It's part of the application
Right.
because we already have it calculated.
I will pass on that to the finance director.
So you're right, Matt, it has to be
Yeah, so-
smoother
I
than it
know
is.
it does.
Yeah.
But the idea is, I don't like the way this comes
All
down.
right, so through the chair, Matt, what is the total amount of this on an annual basis? Do you have any idea of how many?
We're
of
asking
these
for
fees?
5,000. It varies every year for how many applications come in. And we're up to a slow start this year, so chances of us hitting that 5K are not good.
How does Auburn handle this?
How does Auburn handle it? They take a $200 advertising fee, put it into a general fund with the application fee, and then it offsets at the end of the year. But they set a budget every year of a certain dollar amount, 4,000, 5,000 for each board.
So
And
no reimbursement
They also
to the
charge,
client?
they also charge folks for stamps. We pay for all the stamps and all the certified letters. That's another problem with our fee schedule is we're just eating all those stamp
that's
fees.
So, yeah, Uxbridge, you.
There's a lot of things wrong.
Yeah, town of Uxbridge, you supply the stamps with the envelopes for the zoning board of appeals.
Right. We
Okay.
don't have a budget for it, so it's coming out of everything right now. So it's a mess. It's kind of a mess, and it's something we all need to examine closely together. But for now, it's just a budget request. It's,
But the fee, the application fee, the stamps and the envelopes and the time should be coming out of that. See, I'd be curious to see how we compare to the other towns, surrounding towns. Because
right, and it
maybe
depends on the
we're too
application,
high.
because if you got 200 abutters, you know, it's gonna be a lot.
Yeah, it's,
And
Much
if I
cleaner.
can to the chair, that's where I'm going back to.
Yeah.
Is it fair for the guy that has 3 neighbors, or the guy that has 200? The guy that has 2-3 neighbors is paying the same price as the guy
no,
that has
we're-
200-300?
Mike, we're
Right.
agreeing with you
We've
that
got
they
the
will get an
concept.
invoice for that, and they need to come in and
Well,
pay.
not the way this,
No,
no, this is
but-
a flat fee he
But
wants to do.
I'm not suggesting
Flat
personally
fee.
the flat fee is that we pay for it ahead, whatever the fee is to the newspaper and the stamps or whatever, and then they've acknowledged the fact that they're going to come in and pay it, and they come in with a check.
I-
Darn well come in with a check.
If I can, through the chair, I agree with that.
Okay.
That's not what's being said right now.
But we're suggesting to Matt that that's another way of doing
Right.
it.
I'm just saying. That's
So-
not being put
That's
in
fine.
front.
An option is the advertising fee, let's just say this is the town of Sutton site plan approval, $100 check made payable to Gatehouse New England. So they also have mailing fees to be calculated by the planning board to the town of Sutton. So,
Here's what, when I was with the zoning board, and geez, this was over 10 years ago, there was a $300 application fee on the ZBA, a $100 advertising fee, and then whatever the price of stamps was times 2 times the number of abutters, so that you get the notice that goes out and the notice
Yeah.
of decision. So the applicant was paying for an application fee, a advertising fee, and the stamps. That's how they did it in Natick too. So it's just,
yeah, they've got $100 for everything.
right.
So,
But no.
that's the story.
Through the chair, I agree to have it looked at, but I think there should be a good thorough discussion on what and how.
Of course, and we will.
And that's, it's good it's brought up. They need
I
to
don't want
know.
to see the town losing money, but I don't want to see the town profiting off of.
Yes.
Right.
So,
Concur.
so.
We're all on the same page there. And it's a conversation that needs to continue.
Okay,
Thank you.
awesome.
It's good we
Thank
started
you.
awakening, that's for sure.
All right, meeting minutes.
What you got, Mike?
If
We
I
take
can,
a
through the
second.
chair,
Yes.
to Matt, why is Davis Street has been taken off the agenda for the last couple of meetings?
Mr. Zwicker, the chair, sets the agenda.
So I think that a better route would be to request an update from the zoning enforcement officer.
I thought we sent a letter out
From the zoning enforcement officer? No.
from the planning board.
No. So he enforces the special permits. So I think if you want to request that from him, then I think we can motion to request it.
I'd like that motion and for the select board to be notified of what's still going on with this project. Because it's an incomplete project, and in my opinion, we're trying to just sweep it under the rug and let time make it go away. I don't think it's right.
Okay. So Mr. Zwicker is making a motion to request an update on the special permit 93 Davis Street
Yes.
from the building inspector.
And any correspondence be CC'd with the selectmen?
I thought at a previous meeting we.
I did
Well, we
too,
did that too.
Covered it, yeah.
but obviously you can see where it's going, absolutely nowhere.
So motion made.
The motions to,
Request from the building inspector.
Of the building inspector, right?
And to CC the board of selectmen on its status.
It's fair enough.
Motion made by Mr. Zwicker, second by Mr. Schultzberg. All those in favor?
Aye?
Okay. So Mr. Benoit will request that from the inspector.
And I'd like to say to the chair, I don't think we're sweeping anything under the rug. That's just, Mike, I'm just saying, I don't disagree with you. Hey, but let me talk.
Yeah.
Right? Is that we have a business in town, and we are in the business of being fair, being to the point, and going through a process. And I think we're trying to do that, but the sweeping under the rug thing, I don't think there's anybody here that's like, let's not put it on because of whatever reason. I just don't think that that's going that way.
If I can, through the chair, it was discussed last year that until this is resolved, it will be on our agenda every meeting, until it's resolved.
That's not.
It hasn't been on
that's
this
not-
agenda
That's not unfair.
for the last couple meetings. So, by not being on here, it's not in the forefront, and it should still stay in the forefront where it's an incomplete project.
Right, but the building inspector is really the one who would not be taking action on it. Isn't anybody in this room that's particularly, you're saying that because it's not on the agenda, someone's making it an effort to not put it on the agenda? Is that what
I
you're
didn't
saying?
say that. All I'm saying is,
Sweeping
it's
under the rug.
supposed to be on the agenda
Then let's get it on the agenda, but I don't think there's any sweeping.
until it's complete.
And I do recall we requested that
We did.
something be sent to her to come in to explain what's going on.
Well, it's under ongoing development for our meeting minutes on December 8th, 2022.
Madam Chair, I had a chance to review this. I didn't find any noticeable issues with this set of minutes.
Okay. Mr. Greco?
Says here we're talking about December 8th. This is it's in our packet this week, which is the first time I've seen it, so I haven't had a chance to look
Okay.
at it.
I'm just seeing.
But if he has,
something with them. It says I was in attendance, and each of the votes I've looked at so far doesn't say that I voted.
You were running the meeting. I was remote,
Okay.
so you weren't
Okay.
voting. You were running.
I'm like-
That's why we don't
I'm like,
vote when
was
we
I
run
not
the
there?
meeting. Was I there but not?
But you came later, yeah, Tracy, right? I mean, this is.
No, I was remote.
That's why, Tracy. changed.
Yeah. That's why you see me voting.
I just see on one for 28 Main Street, the first page, number 2, one, two, third line down, where the lot line is being adjusted with the existing house getting, it should be in acre, not on acre.
An acre, yep. And,
I haven't
and.
looked at much else, but I just saw that.
We can carry this to the next meeting.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Okay. All right, any other business? Mr. Benoit?
I have nothing further, Madam Chair.
Okay, what?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion
Second.
made by Mr. Zwicker, second by Mr. Schultzberg. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.